The story of Gideon begins when the Israelites disobeyed God's instructions. Once again, thank you for finding our story interesting, and we promise to give the best story every time. Let's find out why God chose a farmer who is not a warrior to lead an army. It started when the people of Israel did evil in the eyes of the Lord, and for 7 years he gave them into the hands of the Midianites. Because the power of Midian was so oppressive, the Israelites prepared shelters for themselves in mountain clefts, caves, and strongholds. Whenever the Israelites planted their crops, the Midianites, Amalekites, and other eastern peoples invaded the country. They camped on the land and ruined the crops all the way to Gaza and did not spare a living thing for Israel, neither sheep nor cattle nor donkeys. They came up with their livestock and their tents like swarms of locusts. It was impossible to count them or their camels. They invaded the land to ravage it. Midian so impoverished the Israelites that they cried out to the Lord for help. When the Israelites cried out to the Lord because of Midian, he sent them a prophet who said, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I brought you up out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. I rescued you from the hand of the Egyptians, and I delivered you from the hand of all your oppressors. I drove them out before you and gave you their land. I said to you, I am the Lord your God. Do not worship the gods of the Amorites, in whose land you live, but you have not listened to me." The angel of the Lord came and sat down under the oak in Ophir that belonged to Wash the Abizrite, where his son Gideon was threshing wheat in a winnow press to keep it from the Midianites. When the angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon, he said, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." "Pardon me, my Lord," Gideon replied, "but if the Lord is with us, why has all this happened to us? What are all his wonders that our ancestors told us about when they said, 'Did not the Lord bring us up out of Egypt?' But now the Lord has abandoned us and given us into the hand of Midian." The Lord turned to him and said, "Go in the strength you have and save Israel out of Midian's hand." "Am I not sending you?" "Pardon me, my Lord," Gideon replied, "but how can I save Israel? My clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my family." The Lord answered, "I will be with you, and you will strike down all the Midianites, leaving none alive." Gideon replied, "If now I have found favor in your eyes, give me a sign that it is really you talking to me. Please do not go away until I come back and bring my offering and set it before you." And the Lord said, "I will wait until you return." Gideon went inside, prepared a young goat, and from an ephah of flour he made bread without yeast. Putting the meat in a basket and its broth in a pot, he brought them out and offered them to him under the oak. The angel of God said to him, "Take the meat and the unleavened bread, place them on this rock, and pour out the broth," and Gideon did so. Then the angel of the Lord touched the meat and the unleavened bread with the tip of the staff that was in his hand. Fire flared from the rock, consuming the meat and the bread, and the angel of the Lord disappeared. When Gideon realized that it was the angel of the Lord, he exclaimed, "Alas, sovereign Lord, I have seen the angel of the Lord face to face." But the Lord said to him, "Peace. Do not be afraid. You are not going to die." So Gideon built an altar to the Lord there and called it "The Lord is Peace." To this day it stands in Ophir of the Abizrites. That same night the Lord said to him, "Take the second bull from your father's herd, the one 7 years old. Tear down your father's altar to Baal and cut down the Asherah pole beside it. Then build a proper kind of altar to the Lord your God on the top of this height, using the wood of the Asherah pole that you cut down. Offer the second bull as a burnt offering." So Gideon took 10 of his servants and did as the Lord told him. But because he was afraid of his family and the townspeople, he did it at night rather than in the daytime. In the morning when the people of the town got up, there was Baal's altar, demolished, with the Asherah pole beside it cut down, and the second bull sacrificed on the newly built altar. They asked each other, "Who did this?" When they carefully investigated, they were told, "Gideon, son of Wash, did it." The people of the town demanded of Wash, "Bring out your son. He must die, because he has broken down Baal's altar and cut down the Asherah pole beside it." But Wash replied to the hostile crowd around him, "Are you going to plead Baal's cause? Are you trying to save him? Whoever fights for him shall be put to death by morning. If Baal really is a god, he can defend himself when someone breaks down his altar." So because Gideon broke down Baal's altar, they gave him the name Jerubbaal that day, saying, "Let Baal contend with him." Now all the Midianites, Amalekites, and other eastern peoples joined forces and crossed over the Jordan and camped in the valley of Yisrael. Then the Spirit of the Lord came on Gideon, and he blew a trumpet, summoning the Abiezrites to follow him. He sent messengers throughout Manasseh, calling them to arms, and also into Asher, Zebulun, and Naphtali, so that they too went up to meet them. Gideon said to God, "If you will save Israel by my hand as you have promised, look, I will place a wolf fleece on the threshing floor. If there is dew only on the fleece, and all the ground is dry, then I will know that you will save Israel by my hand, as you said," and that is what happened. Gideon rose early the next day. He squeezed the fleece and wrung out to do a bowl full of water. Then Gideon said to God, "Do not be angry with me. Let me make just one more request. Allow me one more test with the fleece, but this time make the fleece dry and let the ground be covered with dew." That night God did so. Only the fleece was dry, all the ground was covered with dew. Early in the morning, Jerubbaal, that is, Gideon and all his men camped at the spring of Harod. The camp of Midian was north of them in the valley near the hill of Moreh. The Lord said to Gideon, "You have too many men. I cannot deliver Midian into their hands, or Israel would boast against me. My own strength has saved me. Now announce to the army, anyone who trembles with fear may turn back and leave Mount Gilead." So 22,000 men left, while 10,000 remained. But the Lord said to Gideon, "There are still too many men. Take them down to the water, and I will thin them out for you there. If I say, 'This one shall go with you,' he shall go. But if I say, 'This one shall not go with you,' he shall not go." So Gideon took the men down to the water. Then the Lord told him, "Separate those who lap the water with their tongues as a dog laps from those who kneel down to drink." 300 of them drank from cupped hands. Lapping like dogs, all the rest got down on their knees to drink. The Lord said to Gideon, "With the 300 men that lapped I will save you and give the Midianites into your hands. Let all the others go home." So Gideon sent the rest of the Israelites home, but kept the 300, who took over the provisions and trumpets of the others. Now the camp of Midian lay below him in the valley. During that night the Lord said to Gideon, "Get up, go down against the camp, because I am going to give it into your hands. If you are afraid to attack, go down to the camp with your servant Purah and listen to what they are saying. Afterward, you will be encouraged to attack the camp." So he and Purah his servant went down to the outposts of the camp. The Midianites, the Amalekites, and all the other eastern peoples had settled in the valley. Thick as locusts, their camels could no more be counted than the sand on the seashore. Gideon arrived just as a man was telling a friend his dream. "I had a dream," he was saying. "A round loaf of barley bread came tumbling into the Midianite camp. It struck the tent with such force that the tent overturned and collapsed." His friend responded, "This can be nothing other than the sword of Gideon, son of Wash, the Israelite. God has given the Midianites and the whole camp into his hands." When Gideon heard the dream and its interpretation, he bowed down and worshipped. He returned to the camp of Israel and called out, "Get up! The Lord has given the Midianite camp into your hands." Dividing the 300 men into 3 companies, he placed trumpets and empty jars in the hands of all of them with torches inside. "Watch me," he told them. "Follow my lead. When I get to the edge of the camp, do exactly as I do. When I and all who are with me blow our trumpets, then from all around the camp blow yours and shout, 'For the Lord and for Gideon.'" Gideon and the 100 men with him reached the edge of the camp at the beginning of the middle watch, just after they had changed the guard. They blew their trumpets and broke the jars that were in their hands. The 3 companies blew the trumpets and smashed the jars, grasping the torches in their left hands and holding in their right hands the trumpets they were to blow. They shouted, "A sword for the Lord and for Gideon," while each man held his position around the camp. All the Midianites ran, crying out as they fled. When the 300 trumpets sounded, the Lord caused the men throughout the camp to turn on each other with their swords. The army fled to Beth-shittah toward Zererah as far as the border of Abel-Mahalah near Tabbath. Israelites from Naphtali, Asher, and all Manasseh were called out, and they pursued the Midianites. Gideon sent messengers throughout the hill country of Ephraim, saying, "Come down against the Midianites and seize the waters of the Jordan ahead of them as far as Beth-barah." So all the men of Ephraim were called out, and they seized the waters of the Jordan as far as Beth-barah. They also captured two of the Midianite leaders, Oreb and Zeb. They killed Oreb at the rock of Oreb and Zeb at the winepress of Zeb. They pursued the Midianites and brought the heads of Oreb and Zeb to Gideon, who was by the Jordan. After Gideon's miraculous triumph over the Midianites, instead of celebration, there's tension. The men of Ephraim confront him angrily. "Why didn't you call us when you went to fight Midian?" Gideon, with humility and wisdom, calms their anger by praising their role. "What have I accomplished compared to you? Didn't God give Oreb and Zeb into your hands?" His soft answer turns away wrath, and their resentment fades. But there's no time to rest. Gideon and his 300 men are exhausted yet determined, chasing Zebah and Zalmunna. The kings of Midian, they cross the Jordan River. Hungry and worn out, Gideon asks the leaders of Succoth for bread, but they mock him, doubting he'll succeed. Gideon warns them, when the Lord delivers these kings, they will face consequences. He goes to Peniel, hoping for kindness, but meets the same rejection. He promises them that judgment will come meanwhile. Zebah and Zalmunna hide in Karkar with 15,000 men, the last survivors of an army that once numbered 120,000. Gideon takes a daring route through the caravan roads east of Nobah and Jogbeah, surprising the enemy and crushing them. The kings flee but are captured. On his return, Gideon confronts the elders of Succoth, armed with proof of victory. He punishes them with desert thorns and briars, just as he promised. At Peniel, he tears down their tower and strikes down the men of the city. Gideon then faces Zebah and Zalmunna. He asks, "What kind of men did you kill at Tabor?" They answer, "Men like you, each with the bearing of a prince. Those were Gideon's brothers." His voice is steady. "If you had spared their lives, I would not kill you." He calls on his son Jether to execute them, but the boy hesitates, afraid. The kings challenge Gideon to do it himself, and he does, taking the royal ornaments from their camels' necks. Israel is now free, and the people beg Gideon to be their ruler. But he refuses. "I will not rule over you, nor will my son. The Lord will rule over you." Yet he makes one request. Each man should give him a gold earring from their share of the plunder. The people agree, bringing gold and treasures, which Gideon uses to make an ephod in his hometown, Ophrah. Sadly, this ephod becomes an idol, and Israel begins worshiping it as a snare for Gideon and his family. Still, for the rest of Gideon's life, the land knows peace for 40 years. He returns home, fathers 70 sons, and even has a son, Abimelech, through a concubine in Shechem. Gideon dies at a good old age and is buried in his father's tomb. But no sooner has he passed than Israel turns back to Baal worship, forgetting the God who rescued them and showing no loyalty to Gideon and his family despite all he did for them. So what does this story tell us? That even the greatest victories are fragile if a people has heart isn't anchored in God. Gideon fought for freedom, but the true battle was for faithfulness, and that's a fight every generation faces. If this story made you think, imagine what's coming next. Subscribe, share this video, and join us as we uncover more hidden treasures in the Bible. You won't want to miss what's next.